Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmommaids.wordpress.com. Today I thought I would do something a little different and make an introductory video, which I know is a bit overdue because my channel is over a year old now, but I've been getting a lot of questions that I thought would be nicely incorporated into an introductory video myself, and I've seen that a lot of people have been doing this, so I just thought I'd just let you know a little bit more about who I am, because a lot of times I've talked about, how we homeschool and my homeschool philosophy and my views on the education system, all of those things I've talked about, and I've talked about my kids a little bit, but I've kind of stuck to those things. So I'm just going to give you a little more of a glimpse into who I really am. So I'm not going to tell you about like from birth up until now and bore you to tears. I'm just going to give you some pieces of my life. So I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and when I was born, I was actually born with club feet. And my doctor at the time thought that I was never going to walk. He actually told my mother that if I would walk, it would be with braces, but that I would most likely be in a wheelchair. But being the little go-getter that I was, I actually learned how to walk while wearing casts up to my hips. My mom said that I learned to walk on my toes, and that when I was a baby, I would actually kick the casts off of my legs at night because I had surgery when I was a baby. And that really is a good glimpse into who I am now, because I'm one of those people that when I want to do something, I just do it, and I don't let anything stop me. And that is just like a perfect picture of how I got to where I am today. So actually, I surprised my doctor. I used to have to go to Philadelphia. I don't remember if it was once a month or once a week. I honestly don't remember. But we had to drive all the way to a hospital in Philadelphia, which is about an hour and a half from here, so that I could see a specialist. And he was shocked at my progress. So he decided to tell my mom to put me in dance classes as physical therapy. So my mom did that. She put me in dance classes and roller skating classes. And I ended up dancing for over 20 years. And I actually became a dance teacher, and I was in a dance company, and I danced in shows. So it was just amazing to go from them thinking that I was never going to walk to being a dancer. So that is just like one little tidbit of my life. Now, after I graduated high school, that's when I met my husband. And the first time that I actually met him, I had driven my friend to see a boy that she liked, and he was there, and that was how I met him. But he actually got up and left the room while I was there. So a few days later, when my friend said to me that Sean was asking about me, I said, "Who's Sean?" And then she reminded me who he was. So then she invited him and his friend over, and it was love at, I can't say first sight because he left the room the first time, but love at second sight. We've been together ever since. So yeah, ever since the July after I graduated, we've been together. And a little over a year later, we had our first child together. And we were not married at the time, but we stayed together, and a lot of people thought that we wouldn't, because it's not very popular for teenagers to have a baby and then stay together all this time. But thank God, thank the Lord that we are still together. So it's now 26 years that we've been together. So we were together several years. We actually got married in 1997, and we still only had the one child. And that was when I started having some more babies. Our second child came in 1999. And the funny thing is that a lot of people think that the reason that I have so many children is because of my faith. And while I have always been pro-life, even before I became a Christian, I was pro-life. The funny thing is that I was actually already expecting our 7th baby when I became a Christian. So that actually just happened about 11 years ago. So yeah, a lot of people say that to me, "Oh, you have a lot of kids because you're religious, right?" Well, no, I already had, 7, well, one of them on the way when I became a Christian. But yeah, my faith is very, very important to me. And a lot of my children have been baptized and have accepted Jesus as their Savior. So we really focus a lot of our homeschool on our faith. We start our day with Bible, and I think it's really important to keep God as the foundation of your homeschool, and that is one of the reasons that I don't send my kids to school, because I know that they are teaching things that are completely anti-faith, anti-God, and I don't want that for my children. So anyway, it was actually my oldest son who originally asked me to start homeschooling them. I don't know if it was just because he didn't like school or what. But at the time, we only had 6 kids when our oldest son asked me that. And I kind of just went on a website and looked at homeschool curriculum, and I thought, wow, that's really expensive. And I kind of blew it off, and I thought, I could never do that. I have too many kids. I don't have patience for that. So then I actually found the channel. It was 14 kids and counting at the time. It was the Duggars. And I thought, wow, they're homeschooling and they have a lot more kids than I do. And then as time went on, I actually met another family who just had one less child than I did. So right after I had our 7th baby, that was when we actually started homeschooling. And a lot of you know this story, so I'm not going to get all the way into it. I can link to that other video at the bottom so that I don't have like a 2-hour boring video here. But anyway, so the first 2 years of homeschooling, I really tried to recreate school because I was one of those kids who really did well at school. You know, when I was in 3rd grade, I was tested for the gifted program. I was put in gifted classes, found out that I had an IQ of 150, and I was just one of those kids that school really worked for. So when I started homeschooling my kids, that was what I tried to do. I tried to bring all of those methods into our home. And I did that for 2 years, and I burned out, and my kids ended up hating homeschooling because I really took the fun out of it. You know, I took them out of school and basically just put them in another school but at home. So as I sent them back to school, I actually covered this one in another video too. For those 2 years that they were back in school, it was really not a good time for me. I missed my kids, and they were having a lot of issues with not getting along with each other. There were a lot of issues with the behavior of other kids in their school. You know, their school would be going on lockdown because the kids would behave so badly. There were constant bomb threats. There was lice that my kids would be getting all the time. And finally, I thought, enough is enough. I'm bringing my kids back home with me again. But when I did that, that was when I actually decided to research homeschooling, which I should have done from the very beginning, but I didn't. You know, when I first started, I kind of jumped in feet first without actually researching anything. So the second time, I actually took that time to research things. And that was how I came across John Holt and Learning All the Time, and his views on natural learning and how you don't need to push children or recreate school in order for them to learn. So his books were instrumental in creating my philosophy of homeschooling today. And that was how we actually got to the relaxed homeschool atmosphere that we have right now. Shortly after I read about, or I learned about John Holt and read his books, I discovered John Taylor Gatto. And he, like John Holt, was also, well, he is a former teacher. He was New York City and New York State Teacher of the Year multiple times, but he wrote all of these books about how bad the public education system is. And so some of my favorite books by him are Dumbing Us Down, The Hidden Curriculum of Compulsory Schooling, and Weapons of Mass Instruction. And it was when I read Dumbing Us Down, The Hidden Curriculum of Compulsory Schooling, that I really began, I was woke. That's like the term now. I was woke to what school is really all about. Because up until this point, I believed what most people did. I believed that, you know, it was free education for all. It was something good, you know, and it was something, you know, like a humanitarian thing that the government was doing for us in giving free education for the kids. And then when I read The Hidden Curriculum, that was when I realized that school was not what I thought it was, and school isn't what most people think that it is. And actually, at first, when I read about the hidden curriculum, I thought to myself, well, maybe he just didn't like teaching, and so he's biased. So I actually had a conversation with a family member who used to teach sociology at a community college, and I mentioned the hidden curriculum, and she said to me, "Oh, I know all about that. I taught that in my classes." And I was like, "What? This is real?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's a real thing." So at that time, my oldest son was enrolled in another community college, not the same one that my family member was teaching at, but he was in another one. So I found his sociology book, his college sociology book, opened it up to the index, and sure enough, the hidden curriculum was in there. So it is a real thing. So if you want to find out what it is, I will most likely do a video on that in the future because it's really important that people know about it. I'm not going to get into it too much today, but if you want to look into that book, The Hidden Curriculum, or Dumbing Us Down, The Hidden Curriculum of Compulsory Schooling, definitely look into it. And just know, as you're reading this isn't something that's just coming out of his head. It's real. It's being taught in colleges. It's in college textbooks. So it's not something that just like a disgruntled employee was talking about. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, so when I became awake to the things, to the lies that we've been taught about the education system, I started to realize that maybe that's not all that we're being fooled about. And so since that time, I always tell people that homeschooling really enabled me to think for myself, because up until we actually started homeschooling and I actually started looking into the history of education, I always blindly accepted what I was told by authorities. That was probably one of the reasons I did so well at school, because if a teacher told me to do something, I said okay and I did it, and that was the end of that. So homeschooling really has taught me as the parent to look into things. And that's what happened. I am like a research junkie. I am constantly researching all kinds of things. So the history of education opened up a rabbit hole for me. And I have been exploring so many different areas of our lives that we have clearly not been told the truth about. And I'm not going to get into those on this channel because this is a homeschooling channel. It's an education channel. I want to try to kind of keep it at that. Maybe someday, if I ever have time, which as of right now with me working, I don't. But if I ever have time, I would love to start a second channel where I do delve into these other things that I've learned about. But the fact of the matter is that my life has completely changed because of our homeschool and because of what I've learned in this time. And it's one of those things where once you see reality, once you see the truth, there's no going back. So anyway, I know that there are a couple questions that people asked me about that I did not address yet, so I don't want to forget those. Someone asked me what my kids' ages are. So right now, my kids are 24, 19, 18, 16, 14, 12, 11, 10. My 10-year-old, this is his birthday today. 8, 7, and 5. So that's the 11 of them. And their names are Brendan, Devin, Dylan, Ariana, Kaylin, London, Bailey, Luke, Ireland, Summer, and Kenzie. So that's their ages and their names. And someone else asked me if I have a college degree. And the funny thing is that's not something that I really talk about very often, because I know that our society is really biased against people who do not have college degrees. They kind of see that piece of paper as proof of someone's intelligence, and things are no longer based on merit. So with that being said, I actually, when I was in high school, I was awarded a scholarship to one of the top 10 private colleges in the country. And I actually ended up leaving after a semester because I didn't like it. And to be honest, I was majoring in theater and speech because I did want to open a performing arts studio. So I don't really know how far that degree would have gotten me anyway. So no, a lot of people ask me that. Do you have a college degree? I do not have a college degree. And it's not something that I regret at all, because I'm honestly, I see the college system basically as just being an extension of our failed public education system. And you might agree with me, you might not agree with me, but that's honestly how I feel about it. And I actually just read a study that showed that kids who go into their freshman year of high school and complete their freshman year, or no, maybe junior year, I don't remember. But anyway, I should link to this so that I don't mess it up totally. But anyway, basically what ended up happening is that a large percentage of students who go to college actually end up knowing less after they graduate college. That's it, after they graduate. After they graduate college, they know less than they did when they were entering college. And just as many kids, Bailey, you're moving my chair around. Just as many kids, well, I shouldn't say kids, just as many college students, when they go to college and leave, they don't know any additional information. So it's basically they either stay at a standstill with what they learn, or they actually lose knowledge while they are in college. So, you know, and I do have my oldest son, he has an associate's degree and he plans on transferring and getting a bachelor's. And my second child, she also plans on going to college and getting a degree. And I will be proud of them. Absolutely. It's not like I say to my kids, oh, don't go to college, it's not worth it. No, absolutely go to college if you want to go to college. And there are some things that you definitely do need college for. Like, I would never want to have a doctor who wasn't in college. You know, there are just things like that that you need it for. But I really think that there are aspects of it that are completely overrated, and that a college degree is really not needed for most of the things that we think it's needed for. So with that being said, I'm all about entrepreneurship. So that's kind of where I try to steer my kids. Is I want them to just become self-sufficient. I want them to learn how to learn. I want them to do the things that they love. And I want them to serve others and to find value in the things that others are doing around them, and also but the things that they are doing. So, you know, I might have one child who wants to, for example, my 18-year-old, he had wanted to be a wildlife photographer, and I'm not sure if he still does. He might have changed his mind. I'm not really sure. But the thing is that I have to tell my kids, follow your dreams, but at the same time, you really do need to find something that you're going to enjoy that you can fall back on in that time period. And if it's something that you need a college degree for, then do it. But it's not something that I'm completely focused on. I know that a lot of homeschool parents are all about keeping their kids on track for college, and that's all you hear is like college. What about college? What about applying for college? And what about credits for college and taking the SATs? And, you know, I'm kind of really laid back about that. And, you know, my daughter, I've said this before, I was really laid back her senior year because she was working a lot. And when she took her placement test for the community college, she did awesome. She thought she wasn't going to do very well at math because she's never really enjoyed math, and she scored really high in the math and ended up beating some of her friends who do go to public school and were spending a lot more time on math than she was. So that's just something that I've learned, and yeah, I'm just very relaxed about that sort of thing. So you're not going to see me freaking out over college or anything like that. I think those are all the questions that people ask me and that I wanted to talk about. But anyway, if you have any other questions that you would like to know about me specifically, I would be happy to tell you. I can't remember if there was anything else. I don't think so. But anyway, if you have any questions or comments, you can leave one down below. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, which is usually not videos like this, they're usually more homeschool or education related. But anyway, if you'd like to hear more of those things, I would urge you to subscribe. And also, I have started a Patreon page. So if you would like to support me on Patreon so that I will actually have more time and be able to create better videos than what I do now, I would like if you would follow that link and just see what that's all about, because there's all kinds of good stuff that you'll get for supporting me on Patreon. But anyway, I hope you have a great day.